This week I'll be riding Kawasaki ZX6, Louise will be riding one of these, and Rod will be riding one of these. Hi there and welcome to another edition of Bike File with me, Wazza. This week you join me at Donington Park where we're here on a Speed Freak track day and I'll be playing with Kawasaki's ZX6. It's the 600 that isn't a 600. Why is that? Well, for 2002, Kawasaki gave this bike a mild big bore, taken out to 636cc, as it says on the fairing there. Now 36cc may not be all that much, but it's still enough to take this little Kawasaki to the top of the horsepower and torque charts in the 600cc class. An extra 36cc? That's an unfair advantage, I hear you say. Well, maybe. But whoever said manufacturers had to stick to an arbitrary cc figure? Maybe in World Supersport they do, but then the rules there mean Kawasaki's bikes are still 600s, although they're in a higher state of tune than anything you or I might be able to buy. And anyway, Andrew Pitt managed to win last year's World Supersport Championship on the 600 version of this, so there can't have been that much wrong with the motor in the first place. And to be honest, there wasn't. I remember on the launch of the last model at Valencia a couple of years back, thinking how strong it felt then. And in a class as tight as the 600s, a couple of years is a lengthy period. Time enough for the ZX to start feeling a little placid against the competition. And this is why Kawasaki went for the extra cubes for the ZX in 2002. You could argue this is a cheapskate's way of developing a bike, but the fact still stands, it makes the ZX head and shoulders better than it was last year. But before we go into singing this bike's praises, there are a couple of issues that need addressing. And the first is that pesky fuel tap. Why, I ask you? Fuel taps and that associated undignified fumble as you try and find them on the move as your bike suddenly stalls are something that, as far as the modern superbike goes, went out with the arc. It's only a small detail on this bike, but blimey is it irritating. Those analogue clocks fall into the same bracket. They're easy to change, but somehow Kawasaki persist with them. Once you've got used to digital speedos on modern bikes, this is just a confusing mess on the ZX. You're running flat out, you glance down to check your speed, glance back up, and realise you haven't actually got a clue what you just saw. Please, Kawasaki, digital clocks for 2003. And the final whinge goes to these grab rails. They may look very sleek on the back of the bike here, but a single up and over one would work 10 times better than these awkward fiddly things. So unfortunately, when a sports bike pillion is as good as this, it's a shame to have it spoilt by something as easily changed as a grab rail. These are only small points, but they make a big difference to the way you feel about a bike, and in the case of the ZX, they leave it feeling a little more dated than it needs to. That's enough from me for the time being. Now it's over to you, Louise.
Yamaha have been building motorcycles for a long time now, and back in '98 they launched the 600 Phaser, which received mixed responses from the world's bike press. When the Honda Hornet was launched, it kind of put the Phaser in the shade a little, but Yamaha are back with a vengeance, because 2002 the Phaser has had quite a facelift. It's now a bike that you wouldn't mind owning, and it's far less likely to polarise than the previous model. I think we can safely say it looks like a nice move forward for the FZS. Looking at the new bike, apart from the fairing, nothing appears to have changed that much. But that's until you really look around the bike and you start to notice all those little touches, and then you realise how much of an upgrade it is. But looking good and performance are two very different things. But the Phaser certainly doesn't disappoint. With its pliant engine, easy and forgiving gearbox, the bike really doesn't do anything wrong. But on the other hand, you also can't rave about it. Certainly not if you're a sports bike fan. The new nose fairing is based on the Phase 1000 and gives the bike a sleeker new look. It's also home to a nice pair of eagle-eyed headlights. Mirrors are redesigned and you won't be stopping at the fuel station quite as often, as a larger 22-litre tank with its R1 style filler cap will give you more miles of smiles. The dashboard boasts a new digital clock. There's an adjustable brake lever. Oh, and talking of brakes, donated from the R1, the single cast calipers are a joy to use, producing massive power from just a little single fingered application. feel at the lever is absolutely superb, and although overall feedback through the front end is a little vague, you're never in any doubt as to what's happening underneath you. Now the heart of the Phaser is donated by Yamaha's Thundercat. It's a 600cc water-cooled engine, and I tell you what, that power delivery is so smooth, it accelerates so well, and it's so well behaved, coupled with that 6-speed gearbox, which is really slick, again donated from the Thundercat. You've got yourself a really sorted bike. Add to that, of course, great handling, and for a bike that weighs in at 189 kilograms, I think it feels incredibly light. I'm not a big fan of heavy bikes, but I had no problem with manoeuvring this bike around town, and I certainly didn't have a problem down the motorway with the addition of this new sleek fairing that helps keep the wind off your bonnet. Well, I think that the Phaser certainly deserves 7 out of 10. You see, this bike can't really do anything wrong, and it does everything so right. I will go as far as to say it holds little in the excitement department, but if you're looking for a great middleweight bike, this could be the one. Now as for the comfort factor, well, I'm going to give it 8 out of 10. Without a doubt, this is one of the most comfortable seats I've ever sat on. And I can say the same about the pillion seat as well. I mean, really, this is a street bike, but it's actually so comfortable you could go touring with it. And the handlebars, well, for me anyway, I'm not a huge sports bike fan, but handlebars are in the perfect position for me. So it's on to build quality. Well, Yamaha have an excellent reputation throughout the bike world for building superb machines, and the Phaser is no exception. It's put together so well and finished off absolutely superbly. I mean, the problem is with this, it's almost too perfect and can lack a little bit of character. Value for money. Now, we all like a bit of that, don't we? And if you're looking around for a bike, then don't rule out the Phaser. It is good value for money, priced at a tad over £5,000. And if you look around at the competition, there's Suzuki Bandit and Honda's Hornet. They too are quite well priced, but it depends on what the dealership or the manufacturer is offering at that time. Some are offering some great insurance deals. This is Group 12, so be careful. I reckon 8 out of 10. And last but not least, it's time for the street cred score. Oh dear, I mean 4 out of 10, I'm afraid. I mean, I do really like the bike. Well, let's face it, you wouldn't exactly drop your bags of shopping if it went past, would you? I mean, you could always buy one and customise it to make it a bit different, but then again, you may as well buy something else. But on the upside, I've heard it pulls a mean wheelie.
Well, I have a Yamaha Phase 1000, so it's the baby brother of it. It's a good starter bike, similar to the Bandit 600. Would I buy one? If I was just starting out, yes I would.
Fazer 600, more upright really than most of your other sports bikes. If you're wanting something really to break in very easily on, it's probably an ideal kind of bike. Quite comfortable for commuting as well.
Fazer 600, little daddy to the Fazer 1000. An all-round good bike. A lot of people have bought them. There is a big market for the Fazer 600s. They're very hard to break. I've been up a Cat and Fiddle before now, and there's been a Fazer meet, and there's 50, 60, 70 Fazer 600s there, and everybody's over the moon with it. You can tour on it, you can have fun with it. It's quick enough to keep up with a lot of sports bikes if you know how to ride it on a set of twisties.
Welcome back to the ZX6. Now, we've probably had enough of a pop at it already, so let's concentrate on some good bits, starting with the motor. She's a creamy smooth, easygoing thing for a 600. Now, if you want to set any lap records, you're still going to have to be prepared to thrash her, but if you're not quite in the mood, you want to slow it down a bit, this bike's got the torque in the mid-range to let you just potter along a bit and not have to stoke the gearbox quite as hard as you would on some of the competition. On top of this, the fact the ZX still runs carbs and not fuel injection means there's no snatchiness on and off the throttle, so even dawdling through town is perfectly easy going. Complementing this more broadly focused appeal is the riding position, which fortunately for 2002 stays unchanged, which is a good thing because it was a beauty. The wide flat bars make this rather more comfortable than some of the competition, the seat's plenty plush, There's quite a lot of legroom for a sports 600, and there's quite a bit of space to move about, even for tall geezers like me. So when I tested all the 600s back to back earlier this year, everyone was fighting for the Kawasaki when it was time to head for home, simply because alongside the CBR 600, it's the most comfortable bike in the group. The difference though between the CBR and the ZX is that the Kawasaki is also exciting, where the CBR can just become a little bit dull for a sports bike at times. So it's comfortable and it works well when it's not being thrashed within an inch of its life. But this is still a serious sports bike. So how does the ZX6 fare when you turn up the wig? Rather well, actually. Suspension on the ZX6 is pretty much spot on for the road, whether you want to go hard or slow. At the track, you may find the front end is still a touch on the soft side, but it's nothing a few turns of preload can't dial out. As for the back, I've got to say it's really pretty well balanced, giving you plenty of feel, especially from mid-corner to exit when you're hard on the gas, which means that you can get on with pushing your limits and the bike's pretty safely. She's nimble too, with those slightly wider than average bars giving you plenty of leverage to throw the bike from side to side, and the taut and precise chassis letting you demolish apexes largely at will. Fair enough, the R6 is a touch faster steering, and for any of you proper nutters out there, you might find that the ZX is lacking a touch in ground clearance. But even when she's right on her ear with the pegs on the deck, the ZX6 is still A, reassuring, and B, good fun. The brakes may not be the outright best in the class, because they're marginally less sharp than those on the R6 and CBR, but they're still very good and better than anything the all-singing, all-dancing Suzuki GSX-R 600 can come up with. Oh, and did I mention that the ZX is stable too? Because it is. There's no need for a steering damper here, despite the fact this bike is still a lightweight, sweet handler. So where does all this leave the ZX6? I'd say in a pretty good position. It's as easy to live with as a CBR 600, but it's more exciting when you want it to be. It'll give you just about all the thrills you could ask for at the track, and it's cheaper than the rest of the 600s into the bargain too. If only Kawasaki could drag it into the 21st century with some decent clocks and a fuel light, eh? Surely that isn't too much to ask. And now over to Rod.
Back in the mid-1970s, a small group of British bikes were standing back to back, trying to hold back the flood of imports, like the Thin Red Line at Rorke's Drift. Chief amongst them, and one of the last to fall under the deluge of imports from Japan, was the 750 Triumph Bonneville, more particularly the peanut tank high bar model, known universally as the Export Bonnie. When Triumph launched this new custom Bonneville America last year, the spirit of the Export Bonnie surely looked down from above and saw that it had not died in vain. The British industry has seen a resurgence with the new Triumph company manufacturing high-tech, high-quality bikes. They took on the Japanese, matched them for performance and engineering, and once more carved out a market share for the well-loved Triumph name. When they relaunched the Bonneville last year, it was no leaky, vibratory old design, but a brand new, thoroughly modern 790cc DOHC twin, which captured all the charm of its historic predecessor, with none of the grief. The Bonneville America is developed from the standard Bonnie, but this is no mere makeover with a change of tank and handlebar. The engine has been redesigned with a firing angle of 270 degrees and now kicks out just over 61 brake horsepower. The frame has been reworked to give a much lower seat height, and wheels, forks and running gear are all restyled to fit in with the cruiser look. Those wide pullback handlebars and optional footboards ease you back into the snug seat in best cruiser tradition. The tank, yokes, side panels and big meaty fenders present a profile which, while slightly Harley-esque, is unique and exclusively British. And those beautiful tank badges, classic shaped timing cover and chrome trimmed air filter all pay homage to the bike's ancestry without ever looking anything but utterly modern. To my ears, the standard pipes sound a little strangled, and personally I'd run the gauntlet of the environmentalists and fit something a little louder and freer breathing. On the road, the bike is light and easy to handle, the dry weight of 205 kilograms producing a responsive, flickable chassis with suspension which feels surprisingly sporty for a cruiser. Ground clearance is good, and the single disc brakes front and rear work well. You can have a lot of fun on this bike. It loves twisty back roads, and it's still powerful enough to cover long distances at respectable speeds when required. In fact, it makes an excellent all-rounder with good comfort for both rider and passenger. A range of screens, panniers and backrests are all available from the accessory catalogue. And if you do find the styling a little too extreme, you can always opt for the standard Bonneville and relive the glory days of 1969. For performance, I'll give it 6. With 61 brake horsepower and 45 foot-pounds of torque available, the Bonneville isn't the fastest bike on the street. As a package though, the Bonneville delivers. The power is well matched to the chassis and it goes, stops and handles well. If you're in the cruiser market, you won't be disappointed, and it's quick enough to be lots of fun on the open road. Comfort, 7. You're always going to get some discomfort from the splayed out riding position and lack of windshield at speed, but ridden more moderately, the bike feels fine. The seat is low and wide, and the bars and pegs give just the right profile for boulevard posing. A small backrest for the passenger would make it even better. Build quality, 8 out of 10. Finish on paint and chrome is good, and the fasteners look durable. I do have reservations about some of the trim, like the gearbox cover, which looks a little overstyled. But loved and polished, this bike should keep its good looks as well as anything from Japan. At £6,349 on the road, the Bonneville America drops right into the middle of the cruiser market. Most serious competition will come from the Kawasaki VN800 at just over £6,000 and the latest Suzuki Intruder at just over £5,500. And don't forget the Harley Sportster, whose basic 883 model undercuts the Bonnie by over £1,000. It's not cheap, but you do get a lot of bike for your money and depreciation shouldn't be too bad. And it's well built. All in all, I'll give it 6 for value. For street cred, 8 out of 10. Few bikes have a heritage like this one, and wherever you go you'll be accompanied by the spirit of generations of Bonneville riders. If you're looking for a British alternative, you'll find it here. The export Bonnie is dead. Long live the Bonneville America.
Triumph Bonneville, it's been copied a lot of times, say like the Kawasaki W650, but they've never been able to get the character right of the original Bonneville. Now they've re-released it, the reliability is going to come up a lot. I've never ridden one, but they are the original nice bike. They're an old man's bike to say it, but it's a nice bike. It sounds lovely. It's not got the suspension that a lot of today's bikes have got, but it still handles. As long as you're not taking it on a track and thrashing it, you're going to be fine.
Triumph Bonneville USA. Nice bike that. I like the style of it. It has a nice retro lines of the old classic Bonneville. The motor's a little bit flat, I would think. Not too scary, won't scare anybody on the bike. Looks really nice, so probably handles well for a modern sort of retro toury sort of bike. Wouldn't buy one myself, but nice bike. Don't mind it at all.
Back here with the ZX6, it's conclusion time, and we're going to start with performance, which the Kawasaki scoops 7 out of 10. She'll do a genuine 158 mile an hour. That motor sounds lovely on the boil, and on top of that, she's a sweet handler. Comfort, 8 out of 10, only losing 2 points for those pesky pillion grab rails. Build quality, 8 out of 10. Bigger sports Kawasaki's can wear themselves out a bit quickly if they're not looked after, but this one is sweet as a nut. Value for money, it's another 8 out of 10 here. As far as the insurers are concerned, this is still a 600, despite those extra 36 cc's, and she's got the lowest asking price in the class. Street cred, well, as long as she's in the mean green, this bike gets a 7 out of 10. Unfortunately, with that fuel tap and those old school clocks, she can't go any higher. And if she's in any of the other colour schemes, she could drop as low as a 5.
Kawasaki 636, follow up from the very popular ZX6R. Fantastic bike to ride, although a little bit soft, very, very comfortable, very ideal for a first rider, and definitely the right sort of money at just under £6,000. Good all-rounder if you want to get into the 600 class, really.
I think it's a lovely looking bike. I think for the people who maybe insurance is a bit of a problem, that might be the bike to go for. Personally, I'd go for one of the larger Kawasaki's, but you know, everyone's different.
It's not really that different handling wise, styling wise over the last bike, the J2, but performance wise the little big bore kit that's been put on it basically has altered it in the terms of speed and power, which it will do anyway. Top end, it's the quickest 600 you can get your hands on. Handles very, very well. It's only going to be racetrack time that you're going to feel any difference between that and any other 600s in the terms of getting to its limits.